Endless Hustle presented by the Movie Trivia Schmodown. The Movie Trivia Schmodown is the ultimate mental sport for the movie fanatic. Intense movie trivia with the flair of pro wrestling. Championship matches, competing factions. MTS has the best competitors in the world. This isn't your parents' game show. The end of the season finale is the Schmodown Spectacular 6. All of the championships on the line and all of the greats play here. This isn't bar trivia. This is the Movie Trivia Schmodown. All right, we've got a great day on the Endless Hustle as I'm joined by a man who has many awards under his belt now. A group has many awards. Congratulations, Matthew Ramsey, Old Dominion. To see your explosion over the last several years has been incredible. You got a brand new album out, your fourth. Yeah. It's exciting, man, isn't it?
It's very exciting, man. Yeah, we're a very fortunate group of guys, man. It's been quite a ride for sure.
I love the name of your new album. It's three of my favorite things, Time, Tequila, and Therapy. Although the last two I like much more than the first.
Yeah, it depends. You know, if you've got time on your hands and on vacation or something, it's pretty good.
I'm always curious about the names of albums, like how bands or singers will pick them. How did Time, Tequila, and Therapy come about for you guys?
We're always, challenging ourselves in that world. We started our whole career off with naming our first album Meat and Candy, and then everybody sort of expected us to come up with more creative names, and including us. So when it came down to like title this one, it was a whole list of potential names that we had. Most of them are jokes, but it came down to like the wire. The label was saying, "You guys, we got to have a name for this album." So we sat down and thought, like, how do we sum up this whole experience that we had in Asheville, North Carolina, and what are the overarching themes of this album? And there's no one song that can represent it, but there was a lyric from one of the songs, and the first line of the song "No Hard Feelings" is I took a little time, tequila, and therapy. And we all sort of came to that realization at the same time. Even one guy was in the back of the bus and he came up and said, "What about time, tequila, and therapy?" And we all went, "That's what we just said." And we just agreed on it right there. It seemed to sum up the entire album and year for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have had a magical year. Grammy nominations at every country music award possible.
Yeah.
When you have a year like this, obviously there's no such thing as an overnight success. And I've talked to pretty much every country music star on the planet, and everybody has essentially the same story. Started as pretty much homeless, figured it out, grinded away, and all of a sudden this magic moment happened and that was it. The ride begins. But when you have a year like this and you kind of look back on maybe some of the harder years, what are some of your thoughts as you reflect on those?
Those harder years are necessary for sure. And it does make you grateful when you have a good year like this, like the one we've had or the past three that we've had. But even, like last night we played a show here and we're playing again tonight. And, I told the crowd last night, like we spent so many more years playing to no one than we have playing to someone. And so it's still, even though we've been around now 5-6 years, it's still kind of new in some ways. So, those years were so necessary to kind of get to where we are and, to be the songwriters we are, to be the band that we are. We wouldn't have had it without those struggles.
When you're going through those tough years and you're playing to empty rooms and there's like 6 people in front of you and 5 of them aren't even listening to your music.
Yeah.
What's going through your head at that point? Are you like, shit, what was I thinking here? I should have been a doctor.
Sometimes it's hilarious. Sometimes it's funny that you're like, look at this. This is ridiculous. No one cares. Sometimes it can break your heart a little bit. Sometimes you're like, hey, I made $200, but the thing is with us, the great thing was, we're buddies. We're good friends, and that's the benefit of being in a band. Is at least in this band, we get along so well. So even when it was hard, we were having the time of our lives. We were just. It was like going on a fishing trip with your buddies. We just happened to be playing music. So yes, we were broke and grinding it out and tired, but we at least had each other to like laugh with and talk each other off the ledge now and then.
I had Dan Reynolds from Imagine Dragons on the show a couple weeks ago, and they have just an incredible story. They were pretty much like down and out lounge acts in Vegas. And they had a moment where Train backed out of a performance and they took their slot. And that was like their kind of moment. But he said those moments when they were literally struggling to feed themselves and they were all living in an apartment, like some dirty apartment in the middle of shithole Vegas. Yeah. Those were some of the greatest moments of their lives. And they look back on it with such fondness. It really was interesting to hear that.
Yeah, we definitely, we spent many, many years driving around the country in a tiny little van, playing whatever we could, company picnics and whatever, and that's actually how we wrote our first hit, was at a company picnic for Kohl's department store at some random picnic shelter, like lunchtime show. We were setting up for sound check and we started to kind of like noodle on something, and our song Break Up With Him was born out of that. So, without being out there on the road together, seeing the country, just looking out the window, at this crazy country we have, it wouldn't have ever happened had we not had those times.
When you start seeing that lift, that moment where you can just tell the rise is beginning, can you feel it? Is it something tangible, like, shit, this has really changed for us, like something's happening now?
For sure. Yeah. There's, it starts with, you start to get a little bit of exposure. I think for us, we had some songs that were on the highway on satellite radio, Sirius XM. And then we would be out in, say, whatever, Nebraska, and people would show up, and they would know one song. And then we'd be like, interesting. Like, all the way out here, they know this song. And then, and then it gets more and more. And I remember we went to play this festival in Canada called Boots and Hearts. And they had like a show the night before the festival started. So it wasn't really the festival. It was like the pre-festival. And they booked us. And there were so many people, and they were all singing the words to our songs. And we were just looking at each other in shock. Like, this is happening right now. This is what you want. It was a wild moment.
That reminds me, one of my favorite movies is Almost Famous. And there's a moment in that movie, great movie. Billy Crudup's the man. Russell's the best, but there's an incredible moment after they've gone through all the shit that they go through to find their identity. And then they're on stage together at the end, and they just look at each other, and there's the love at that moment that they're like, we can finally enjoy this moment together. And when you were just describing that, that's what kind of that reminded me of.
Yeah. And we have those moments every night. We call it going underwater, because when you go underwater, things kind of get quiet and no one can really touch you. And, when we walk up on stage, whatever like stress we're having during the day, we can, sometimes we even, like, if it's a very stressful day, we've been known to like be walking on stage and look at each other and go, like hold our breath. Like, here we go. We're about to go underwater where no one can touch us. It's just us up here, and we're going to get to do the thing that we love to do. And, for the next hour and a half, 2 hours, it's going to be great.
Why are all country songs either involving drinking or breaking up? What is it about those two things that country music stars, like, it's not a country song if there isn't something about drinking in there? Like, that's not part of the genre.
And I think it's just, country music is known for telling stories of people's lives. And those are things that are very prevalent in people's lives. Everybody goes through some heartbreak at some point in their lives and can really identify with it. Drinking is just fun as long as you can keep it under control, but it can lead to some bad decisions, which is also fun to talk about. So, everybody's just kind of looking for the way to say something that's already been said in a different way, so that's really all that songwriting is.
I feel like I could literally sit there with a country star during songwriting. They'd be like, we have the greatest song. Wait, we didn't mention drinking. We got to get drinking. And there's got to be something about beer, tequila, or bourbon in there.
It's a prominent thing in our lives.
I want to talk to you about songwriting because I'm so fascinated by that's the real skill set for a musician. I mean, there's a million people, and not to in any way diminish what you guys do for a living, but people can play instruments, people can sing, but what really separates the good from the great are the great songwriters. Songwriting is such an art form. If you were to teach someone the art of songwriting according to you, what are some of the steps that you would be essentially teaching?
I think first of all, again, you have to be a student. Like I said, you have to just really dissect music and how writers achieve what they did. But then you just also have to not stop. You have to write. You have to wake up and write every day. That brain has to be on all the time. And then it becomes a matter of just it sounds cheesy, but you have to stick true to what your heart is telling you and be confident in it and follow that instead of trying to chase after what you think people want to hear. Because ultimately, what is going to make you a successful songwriter is your voice and your perspective, not some watered down version of another writer's perspective. So, and that's all you're going to get if you're chasing after this writer's or this songwriter's, perspective. So you have to stick true to what you believe and what you think is good. And when you can learn to do that and simplify those thoughts into song form, then you've got something.
We had touched upon building a brand outside of what you do. You, both musicians and athletes, are now able to do that. When you see people like the Predators or musicians like yourselves, what type of opportunities are created because of the platform you have and what you guys do?
Well, there's the beauty of being a musician is everybody is kind of enamored by musicians, and so all different walks of life and successful people, come out of the woodwork a little bit. So you make friends and you suddenly find yourself with opportunities. But also, with us, like we have a partnership with a company called Quintera Negro, which is tequila. And, they know that we drink a lot of tequila, and they were fans of our music. We made friends with them, and now we have like a partnership with them. So things that are natural are the things that work well for us. There's been plenty of opportunities that, we could have taken, but we don't necessarily want to be a commercial, so unless we believe in it. So there's all kinds of things. Even, Brad, our guitar player, is newly on the board of Guitar Center. So, there's things like that will just pop up.
What do you think about the touring life? You had mentioned to me you're in Verona, New York right now, not too far. I'm in Manhattan, but not too far away. But what do you think about touring? Do you ever just yearn for being at home, or do you love it? Is it just religion to you at this point and you love being on the road and seeing the fans?
It's both, man. There's time when you're at home for too long, you want to get back out. And when you're out too long, you want to get back home, So it really is both. During the pandemic, when things were shut down, we really missed seeing the world. It was really tough to have that taken away from us and seeing our music alive and well in other parts of the world. But, we were out not too long ago. We did like a probably 3-week stretch, and we were ready to come home for a couple of days after that. So,
no, I can imagine. So you get your first Grammy nomination this year. That's the kind of I made it moment that every band and singer dreams of. Where were you when you found out? And when you did find out, what was your reaction?
I was in the car, I think, when I found out, and it was just such a surreal moment of one of those things. Like you said, it's almost one of those things that you just kind of put out of your head as like, there's no way I'm even in that world, And so when you get that news, it just kind of, for me, I just kind of sat there. And for a moment, I was the only one that knew, So I was just sitting there holding that secret for a minute before I was like, we just got nominated for a Grammy, So it's really an unbelievable moment to savor.
That's awesome, man. Do the texts start rolling in and the calls from family, friends?
Yeah, for sure. Your phone just starts going off like crazy. So it's that's when you really feel the support system that you have, because it takes so many people to make something like this happen, and you really start to feel that excitement from your team and your family and all your friends, so, high school buddies and all that stuff just come rolling in.
You're like, Dad, I told you I shouldn't have been a doctor. See,
Yeah.
I told you. So when you kind of look at the whole journey, what are if you were to sum it up in a few sentences, how would you sum up what this journey has been for you so far?
Oh, it has been a crazy mix of just pure joy, and it's been heartbreaking at the same time. It's tough on people that you love, and it's physically demanding, but at the end of the day, you get this feeling, this rewarding feeling of knowing that you're doing what you were born to do. And that's just, some of that other stuff happens, and it might happen in any other job, but this is what I was born to do. I know that, and I get to see the fruits of my labor every night. I get to see how it affects people's lives. Music affects people's lives the way it affected mine, and it's a true gift.
Perfect place to end, man. Congratulations on the brand new album. What a magical year it's been for you guys. I'm a big fan, and it just feels like you're on that meteoric rise that a band hits.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, you hope it never ends, I'm sure. You're just like, let's keep going to the moon.
That's right. We'll keep pushing.
Bro, you're awesome. Congrats on all your success. Congrats on the new album, and feel free to join the show anytime. It's been a blast chatting with you.
This was fun. Thanks a lot, man.
Same here, brother. Good luck on the tour.
Awesome. Talk to you soon.
Take care, man.